The cold vacuum of space held many secrets, but none quite as massive as what humanity was building in the darkness beyond Neptune. Captain Han Jiwoo stood on the observation deck of the mining station, watching the distant lights of construction drones dancing around what the galaxy believed was a simple asteroid mining operation. He knew better. Everyone stationed here knew better. 3 rogue planets drifted in the outer reaches of the solar system, far from prying eyes. They looked dead and unremarkable to any casual observer. That was exactly the point. Inside those planets, humanity was building something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that would change everything. Admiral Park Min-ji walked up beside him, her reflection ghostly in the viewport. She had commanded this project for 12 years now, watching it grow from desperate plans into genuine reality. Her hair had gone gray during those years, but her eyes remained sharp and determined. The Vraxians sent another probe through the outer belt, she said quietly. Yoon Dae-hyun's team redirected it toward the ice fields. They saw nothing. Han Jiwoo nodded. The Vraxian Empire had been watching humanity closely since the border incident 15 years ago. That small battle had convinced the Galactic Council that humans were too aggressive, too unpredictable. The Council imposed restrictions immediately. No capital ships, no heavy weapons, nothing larger than a Corvette-class vessel. The elder races thought they had caged humanity. They thought wrong. How much longer until Aegis is operational? Han Jiwoo asked. 3 months for basic systems. 6 months for full combat readiness. Park Min-ji pulled up a holographic display. The image showed a planet cut in half, its interior replaced with machinery, weapons, and power systems that boggled the mind. Sentinel is 4 months behind that. Warden is still another year out. Han Jiwoo studied the designs. Each planet was approximately 4,000 kilometers in diameter. Each one had been hollowed out carefully over the past decade, the excavated material used to build shipyards and stations throughout human space. The mining cover story was perfect because they actually were mining, just not for the reasons the galaxy assumed. Dr. Kim Hyun arrived at the observation deck, carrying a data tablet and looking exhausted. The lead physicist barely slept anymore, always running calculations and simulations. He was responsible for solving the impossible problem: how to make a planet move faster than light. The test results are back from the engine trial, Dr. Kim said, his voice hoarse. The gravitational stress was within acceptable parameters. We can move Aegis without tearing it apart. Park Min-ji smiled, a rare expression from the normally stoic admiral. And the weapon systems? The main cannon works. We tested it on an abandoned moon in the Kuiper Belt. Dr. Kim pulled up footage on his tablet. The 3 of them watched as a beam of concentrated energy, powered by an artificial star buried in Aegis's core, touched the moon's surface. The moon didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. The power consumption is enormous but sustainable for multiple shots. Han Jiwoo felt his stomach tighten. The weapon was more devastating than he had imagined. Each of the 3 Titan-class vessels carried hundreds of such weapons, along with thousands of point defense systems, missile batteries, and shield generators that could absorb the bombardment of an entire fleet. The Council would call this a war crime if they knew, Han Jiwoo said softly. The Council left us defenseless, Park Min-ji replied, her voice hard. They restricted our military, then did nothing when the Vraxians started threatening our colonies. We had 2 choices: accept slavery or build our own protection. We chose survival. Across the solar system, in the comfortable towers of Earth's capital, diplomats played a different game. Ambassador Shin Yuna sat in endless council meetings, smiling politely while alien representatives lectured humanity about peace and cooperation. She listened to speeches about the importance of following galactic law while those same species maintained vast war, fleets that dwarfed anything humanity was permitted to build. The hypocrisy was thick, enough to choke on, but Shin Yuna was good at her job. She nodded at the right moments, agreed to meaningless treaties, and made sure every alien eye stayed focused on Earth and its nearby colonies. No one looked toward the outer dark where the real work happened. Yoon Dae-hyun worked from the shadows, managing the intelligence network that kept the Titan protocol secret. He tracked every alien surveillance satellite, every spy ship, every diplomat who asked too many questions about human mining operations. His team fed false data to alien sensors, created elaborate cover stories, and occasionally arranged for nosy observers to have unfortunate accidents far from human space. It was dirty work, but necessary. If the galaxy discovered what humanity was building before the Titans were ready, the Council would send fleets to stop construction. Earth would burn. "We caught another signal intercept," Yoon Dae-hyun reported during the morning briefing. "The Pelthaxian intelligence service is getting suspicious about our deuterium consumption rates. They think we're building a weapons program." "They're not wrong," Han Ji-woo said with dark humor. "We need to feed them something," Yoon Dae-hyun continued. "Let them discover a secret frigate construction project. Small enough to be technically legal, large enough to explain the resource usage." Park Min-ji approved the deception. The galaxy would find what they expected to find. Humans bending the rules, pushing boundaries, but not actually breaking them. Meanwhile, 3 planets continued their transformation in the outer dark. Commander Choi Soon-hee ran tactical simulations on Aegis's command deck. The massive bridge was already operational, even though much of the planet's systems remained incomplete. She programmed scenarios where the Titans faced fleets of various sizes and compositions. The results were always the same. The Titans won. It wasn't even close. "The problem isn't whether we can fight," Choi Sun-hee told Park Min-ji during a strategy session. "The problem is what happens after we reveal ourselves. The galaxy will panic. Species will unite against us out of fear. Then we make sure the first time we reveal the Titans, it's against an enemy the galaxy already hates." Park Min-ji said. "We need the element of surprise, but we also need the moral high ground." The opportunity came sooner than anyone expected. A human surveyor ship disappeared near the border with Vraxian space. Then another. Then a small colony stopped responding to communications. When Earth sent a diplomatic inquiry, the Vraxians responded with contempt. "Your kind occupies territory that rightfully belongs to the Empire," the Vraxian ambassador declared in a broadcast to the Galactic Council. "We are simply reclaiming what is ours." The Council did nothing. The elder species offered thoughts and prayers, then returned to their own concerns. Humanity was on its own. In the outer dark, Admiral Park Min-ji watched the holographic displays showing Vraxian fleet movements. They were massing ships near human space. Hundreds of vessels, maybe thousands. It was an invasion force. She opened a secure channel to Earth's military command. "We need to accelerate the timeline. I'm requesting authorization to activate the Titan protocol early." The response took hours to arrive, but when it came, it was clear. Approved. Defend humanity at all costs. Dr. Kim Hyun and his team worked around the clock, rushing to complete critical systems on all 3 Titans. Not everything would be ready, but enough would be operational to fight. It had to be enough. Han Ji-woo received his new assignment with mixed feelings. He was to command the escort fleet for Aegis, small, quick ships that would support the massive planet warship in battle. It was an honor, but it also meant he would be at the center of whatever came next. On Earth, people went about their normal lives, unaware that war was coming. Unaware that their species had built weapons beyond comprehension. Unaware that everything was about to change. In the outer dark, 3 planets stirred. Ancient stone and ice began to move, powered by engines that bent reality itself. The Titans were waking up, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The message arrived on every human channel simultaneously, broadcast across all frequencies in a deliberate show of power. Warlord Crix appeared on screens throughout human space, his reptilian features twisted in what might have been a smile. His scales were dark red, marking him as a high-ranking member of Vraxian warrior caste. "Humans of Earth and her pathetic colonies," Crix began, his translator rendering his hissing speech into perfect English. "The Vraxian Empire claims the following territories by right of superior strength." A star map appeared, highlighting 12 human colony worlds. "You have 2 standard weeks to evacuate these worlds and surrender them to Imperial control. Failure to comply will result in total military action against all human holdings." The message ended with footage of Vraxian warships, thousands of them, arranged in battle formations. The display was meant to intimidate, and it worked. Panic spread across human space like wildfire. Ambassador Shin Yuna watched the message 3 times in her office on Earth, her face carefully neutral. Then she walked to the Galactic Council chambers, where representatives from dozens of species had gathered for an emergency session. "The Council must intervene," Shin Yuna said firmly. "This is naked aggression against a member species. It violates every treaty and agreement we have signed. Counselor Thren, ancient and massive in his environmental suit, gestured with a tentacle-like appendage. His species, the Pelthaxians, had been part of the Council for over 10,000 years. They considered themselves wise beyond measure. The matter is complex, Thren said slowly. The territories in question have unclear historical ownership. The Vraxians claim ancestral rights to those star systems. This is an internal dispute, not an invasion. Shinyuna felt cold rage building in her chest, but she kept her voice level. Internal dispute? They are threatening to attack human civilians. Perhaps humanity should have been more cautious about which systems to colonize, another counselor suggested. The Vraxians are an established power. Accommodation may be wiser than confrontation. The message was clear. The Council would not help. Humanity was alone. Shinyuna returned to Earth and met with the planetary government. The discussion was brief and brutal in its honesty. We have 2 weeks before the Vraxian fleet attacks, she reported. The Council will not intervene. We cannot evacuate 12 colonies in that time, even if we wanted to. We have to fight. With what? One minister demanded. We have patrol boats and corvettes. The Vraxians have a battle fleet that outmasses our entire navy 100 to 1. Admiral Park Minji spoke from a secure video link. We have options. I am requesting permission to activate the Titan protocol immediately. The room fell silent. Everyone present knew about the Titans in general terms, though few knew the details. It was humanity's deepest secret, the backup plan that was never supposed to be needed so soon. The Titans are not fully operational, the defense minister said carefully. The risks are enormous. The risk of doing nothing is extinction, Park Minji replied. The Titans are our only chance. After an hour of debate, the vote was unanimous. The Titan protocol was activated. Li Banhua led the diplomatic delegation to meet with Vraxian representatives, a last attempt to find a peaceful solution. The meeting was held on a neutral station at the border between human and Vraxian space. Li Banhua brought gifts, trade agreements, offers of compensation for any legitimate Vraxian claims. The Vraxians brought executioners. When Li Banhua suggested a third-party arbitration, the Vraxian commander laughed. When the human diplomat offered economic incentives, the Vraxians found it amusing. When Li Banhua appealed to galactic law and common decency, the Vraxians had heard enough. They killed half the human delegation in the conference room, their bodies dumped into space as a message. Li Banhua and the survivors were sent back to human territory with a recording. There will be no negotiation, Warlord Crick said in the video. Surrender or die. You have 12 days remaining. The footage played on every news channel in human space. People watched their diplomats murdered in cold blood. They watched the Vraxian fleet growing larger every day as more ships arrived. They watched and they were afraid. But fear was not the only emotion spreading through humanity. Captain Han Jiwoo stood on the bridge of his new command. A fast attack cruiser named the Soul. Around him, 50 similar ships prepared for deployment. They would escort Aegis into battle, providing point defense and tactical support for the massive Titan-class vessel. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Aegis is powering up its main engines. Through the viewport, Han Jiwoo watched something impossible happen. A planet began to move. Not the gentle drift of orbital mechanics, but purposeful acceleration. Aegis lit up with thousands of lights as its systems came online. Shield generators created a shimmer around its surface. Weapon ports opened like waking eyes. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Han Jiwoo had ever seen. Dr. Kim Hyun monitored the engine performance from his station deep inside Aegis. Every sensor, every data stream, every measurement was within acceptable parameters. The planet-sized ship was flying, really flying, and it wasn't tearing itself apart. Gravitational stress is minimal, he reported to Admiral Park Minji. The field generators are compensating perfectly. We can push to combat speeds without risk. Then do it, Park Minji ordered. We have 11 days to reach the colony at Nova Sol. The Vraxians will hit there first. Aegis accelerated, bending space around itself in ways that should have been impossible. Behind it, Sentinel powered up and began its own journey. Warden remained at the outer edges of the solar system, not yet ready for combat operations, but moving into defensive position around Earth itself. The Vraxians detected the gravitational anomalies immediately. Their sensors registered something massive moving through space, but they couldn't identify what. The readings made no sense. Planets didn't travel at faster than light speeds. Warlord Crix reviewed the data with his fleet commanders. Human deception, he decided. They are using some kind of sensor jamming to make their small fleet appear larger. It will not save them. He ordered the invasion to begin early, not wanting to give the humans time to prepare whatever tricks they were planning. 3,000 Vraxian warships entered human space and set course for Nova Sol, the most valuable human colony in the disputed territories. On Nova Sol, people watched the skies and waited. The Planetary Defense Force had 12 corvettes and a handful of missile satellites. Against 3,000 warships, they would last minutes at best. Evacuation ships loaded with refugees fled toward Earth, but millions remained on the planet's surface, unable to escape in time. Then something strange appeared on long-range sensors. A massive gravity well moving toward the planet. Something so large it registered like a moon appearing from nowhere. The defense coordinator stared at the readings, unable to believe what the instruments were telling her. "It's a planet," she whispered. "There's a planet coming toward us." Aegis emerged from its FTL jump at the edge of the Nova Sol system, exactly where Admiral Park Minji had calculated. The timing was perfect. The Vraxian fleet was 12 hours away from reaching the colony world. Captain Jiang Minho commanded Sentinel, which arrived moments later from a different vector. The two Titan-class vessels took up positions between Nova Sol and the incoming Vraxian armada. All weapons charged and ready. Commander Choi Sun-hee reported from her tactical station on Aegis. "We have target locks on the entire Vraxian fleet." Park Minji sat in the command chair, watching the enemy ships approach. They were still advancing, apparently not understanding what they were facing. She opened a communication channel. "Vraxian fleet, this is Admiral Park Minji of the United Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw from human space immediately. This is your only warning." The response came quickly, Warlord Crix's laughter echoing across the channel. "You dare threaten the Empire with your primitive fleet? We will crush you and enslave your people." "Very well," Park Minji said quietly. "Commander Choi, you may fire when ready." The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had built in the darkness. The main cannon of Aegis fired for the first time in actual combat, and reality itself seemed to scream. A beam of pure energy, thick as a mountain and bright as a newborn star, lanced across space and touched the Vraxian formation. 400 ships simply ceased to exist in that instant, vaporized before their crews even understood they were dying. The remaining Vraxian fleet scattered in panic, their perfect battle formation dissolving into chaos. Warning alarms blared across every ship as sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. Some captains thought their instruments had malfunctioned. Others thought they were facing some kind of natural phenomenon. Warlord Crix knew better. He stared at the tactical display, watching the icon that represented something his mind could barely process. It wasn't showing a ship. It was showing a planet with weapons. "All vessels concentrate fire on that monstrosity," he screamed. "Everything we have." 2,000 Vraxian warships turned their guns on Aegis and fired. Missiles by the tens of thousands, energy beams, kinetic projectiles, everything in their arsenal unleashed at once. The combined firepower could have destroyed continents, melted moons, boiled away oceans. Aegis's shields absorbed it all without even flickering. Commander Choi Sun-hee watched the tactical display with professional calm. "Their weapons are having zero effect. Our shields are at 98% capacity. Should I return fire?" "Target their capital ships," Admiral Park Minji ordered. "Precision strikes. Disable, don't destroy if possible." The secondary batteries of Aegis opened fire, hundreds of weapon systems operating in perfect coordination. Each shot was carefully calculated, striking engines and weapon systems but avoiding crew compartments when possible. Vraxian battleships went dark and dead in space, their power cores shut down, their crews alive but helpless. Then Sentinel arrived at full combat speed, its own weapons adding to the devastating display. Captain Yang Minho was less concerned with precision than Park Minji was. Where Aegis disabled ships, Sentinel destroyed them. The difference in command philosophy was evident in the results. "We need them to surrender, not die," Park Minji said over the command channel to Sentinel. "They killed our diplomats," Jiang Minho replied coldly. "They threatened our colonies. They deserve everything they get." Park Minji understood his anger but couldn't allow it to compromise the mission. Stand down your offensive batteries. Support fire only. Han Jiwoo led his escort fleet through the chaos, his corvettes and cruisers hunting down damaged Vraxian vessels that tried to escape. The small human ships were fast and deadly, their crews expertly trained. Against an organized fleet they would have been overwhelmed, but against a broken and panicked enemy they were perfect. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Vraxian invasion fleet was utterly defeated. Over 1,500 ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors fled back toward their own territory, their faster-than-light drives pushing maximum speed as they ran from the monsters that had emerged from human space. Warlord Crix was not among the survivors. His flagship had attempted a desperate charge at Aegis, perhaps hoping to ram the Titan-class vessel in a final act of defiance. The planet's point defense systems vaporized his ship while it was still 1,000 kilometers away. On Nova Sul, people stared at their screens in disbelief. The Vraxian fleet that was supposed to conquer them was gone, destroyed by human ships they had never seen before, destroyed by planets that moved and fought like living things. The recording spread across the galaxy within hours. Every species with FTL communication received the footage. They watched Aegis's main cannon erase hundreds of ships in a single shot. They watched Vraxian weapons splash harmlessly against shields that seemed impenetrable. They watched humanity reveal that everything the galaxy thought they knew was wrong. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The chamber was filled with shocked and angry representatives. Councillor Thren stood at the center, his tentacles trembling with rage. "This is a violation of every military restriction imposed on humanity," he roared. "They were forbidden from building capital ships. They were limited to defensive forces only. They have created weapons of mass destruction." Ambassador Shin Yuna walked to the speaker's platform, her expression calm despite the hostile crowd around her. She had prepared for this moment for years, knowing it would eventually come. "The Council imposed restrictions on ship sizes and classifications," she said clearly. "You said humanity could not build vessels above a certain mass or carrying certain weapon systems. You defined what a ship could and could not be." She paused, letting the words sink in. "At no point did anyone say we couldn't militarize planets. Your restrictions never mentioned planetary defense systems. You assumed incorrectly that we would accept your definition of how warfare should be conducted. That was your mistake, not our violation." The chamber erupted in shouting. Some species demanded immediate military action against Earth. Others argued that Shin Yuna was technically correct. Humanity had found a loophole in badly written legislation. A few quietly wondered if their own worlds should have planetary defense systems. "You knew the intent of the restrictions," another counselor accused. "You deliberately circumvented the spirit of the law." "The spirit of the law was to keep humanity weak and controllable," Shin Yuna replied, her voice hard now. "When the Vraxians threatened our colonies, you did nothing. When they murdered our diplomats, you called it an internal dispute. You left us defenseless and expected us to accept conquest peacefully. We chose differently." She pulled up a holographic display showing the battle footage again. "These vessels exist now. They cannot be unbuilt. They will not be surrendered or dismantled. Humanity will defend itself with or without Council approval. You can accept this reality or you can try to stop us. I think we both know how that would end." The threat was clear and unmistakable. If the Council sent fleets against humanity, they would face the same fate as the Vraxians. Species that had underestimated humans for over a century suddenly realized they had been living next to a sleeping giant. Back on Earth, Dr. Kim Hyun analyzed data from the battle. The Titans had performed better than expected. The weapon systems worked perfectly. The shields exceeded design specifications. The faster-than-light drives showed no signs of stress despite the combat maneuvers. "We can build more," he told Admiral Park Minji during their debrief. "The techniques are proven now. We could have 12 Titans operational within 5 years." Park Minji nodded slowly. "The question is whether we should. Everyone we build makes the galaxy more afraid of us." "The galaxy should be afraid," Commander Choi Sun-hee said. "Fear is what keeps them from attacking us." The debate would continue for months, but the immediate crisis had passed. Humanity had revealed its greatest secret and survived the revelation. The Vraxians would not threaten human space again, not after losing half their fleet in a single battle. But across the galaxy, other species watched the footage and drew their own conclusions. Some saw opportunity, Thinking they could ally with humanity for protection, some saw threat, believing humanity would use these weapons for conquest. Some saw technical challenge, wondering if they could build similar vessels. Yoon Dae-hyun's intelligence network lit up with intercepts and decoded messages. A dozen species were trying to scan the Titans, hoping to steal the technology. Several were approaching human space with diplomatic missions offering trade and alliance. At least 3 hostile powers were forming a coalition, determined to destroy the Titans before humanity could build more. "We won the battle," Yoon Dae-hyun reported to Earth's leadership. "But the war is just beginning. The galaxy is reorganizing itself around us, and not everyone is happy about it." Ambassador Shin Yuna returned to Earth to discuss strategy. She found Admiral Park Min-ji standing in the same observation deck where this had all begun, looking out at the stars. "You did well at the council," Park Min-ji said. "Better than I could have." "I told them the truth," Shin Yuna replied. "That we would not be victims. That we would survive no matter what it took. They didn't like hearing it, but they couldn't argue with it." "Do you think they'll accept the new reality?" Shin Yuna considered the question carefully. "Some will, some won't. We're going to have to deal with both." On the frontier, Captain Han Ji-woo returned to patrol duty, his small fleet now operating with the confidence of knowing they had Titan support if needed. The Vraxian border was quiet, the Empire licking its wounds and reconsidering its aggressive policies. But Han Ji-woo knew this peace was temporary. The galaxy had seen what humanity built in secret. Now everyone wanted to know what else humanity might be hiding. The galaxy reorganized itself in the weeks following the Battle of Nova Sol. Ancient alliances shifted, new power blocks formed, and species that had ignored each other for centuries suddenly found common cause, all because of what humanity had revealed. General Nam Soo-jin sat in her office at Earth Defense Command, studying intelligence reports that painted a complicated picture. Her job was to prepare humanity for whatever came next, and she had to plan for multiple scenarios simultaneously. "We have 3 distinct factions forming," she explained to the assembled military leadership. "The isolationists want us quarantined, possibly destroyed. The pragmatists are seeking alliance and protection. The architects just want our technology, by any means necessary." Admiral Park Min-ji attended the meeting via holographic projection from Aegis, which remained on station near Nova Sol. "What's the threat assessment for each group?" "The isolationists are the immediate danger," General Nam said, pulling up star charts. 7 species led by Ambassador Ixthar have formed what they're calling the Coalition for Galactic Stability. They're assembling a fleet to force our disarmament. "How large a fleet?" Captain Jang Minho asked. He commanded Sentinel, which was currently positioned near Mars. 15,000 warships and growing. General Nam let that number sink in. They're pulling ships from across their territories. This is the largest combined fleet assembled in galactic history. The room fell silent. Even with the Titans, those numbers were frightening. 3 planet-sized vessels against 15,000 enemy ships meant the battle could go either way. Commander Choi Sun-hee spoke up from her station on Aegis. "I've run the simulations. We can win, but the casualties will be massive on both sides. Millions will die. Maybe billions if they target civilian populations. We need to avoid that battle if possible," Park Min-ji said firmly. "We revealed the Titans to defend ourselves, not to become conquerors or mass murderers." "Is there any chance of negotiation?" Yoon Dae-hyun shook his head. "Ixthar has been very clear in his public statements. He considers the Titans an existential threat to galactic peace. He believes if humanity keeps them, other species will build similar weapons and the galaxy will descend into chaos." "He's not entirely wrong," Dr. Kim Hyun admitted. "We've already detected 3 species attempting to replicate our planetary engineering techniques. The technology is spreading." General Nam pulled up intelligence photos showing construction projects in distant star systems. The Pelthaxians are converting one of their moons into a weapons platform. The Tharksea Collective is hollowing out an asteroid. Everyone wants their own Titan now. "Then Ixthar's war won't stop anything," Park Min-ji observed. "Even if he destroys Earth and the Titans, the technology exists. Others will build their own versions. Which is why we need to control the narrative," Ambassador Shin Yuna said, joining the meeting late. "If we position the Titans as defensive weapons available to protect smaller species, we change the equation. The coalition falls apart when member species realize they could have Titan protection instead of Titan threats. It was a good strategy, but implementing it would be difficult. Trust was in short supply across the galaxy right now. Engineer Baek Jinho worked deep inside Aegis, upgrading the defensive systems based on combat data from the Vraxian battle. He had discovered several vulnerabilities in the shield design, places where concentrated fire could potentially penetrate if an enemy knew exactly where to shoot. "We need to rotate the shield harmonics randomly," he explained to his team, "make it impossible to predict weak points. That means completely rewriting the shield control software." His assistants groaned. The shield system used millions of generators distributed across Aegis's surface. Coordinating them all required incredibly complex programming. But Baek Jinho was right, the upgrade was necessary. "How long will it take?" Admiral Park Minji asked when she reviewed his proposal. 2 weeks for Aegis, another 2 weeks each for Sentinel and Warden. Baek Jinho pulled up his work schedule. "We're also adding new point defense clusters based on weak spots we identified during combat. The Vraxians never got close enough to exploit them, but the Coalition will have studied our tactics." Park Minji approved the upgrades. Every advantage mattered when facing 15,000 enemy ships. The assassination attempt came on a Tuesday. Yoon Dae-hyun's security team detected the plot only hours before execution. Coalition operatives had infiltrated Earth, planning to kill Admiral Park Minji when she returned for a strategy meeting. The assassins never got close. Yoon Dae-hyun's people arrested them at the spaceport, along with their support network. The captured operatives revealed under interrogation that Ixthar himself had ordered the mission. "He's trying to decapitate our command structure," Yoon Dae-hyun reported. "Kill our best strategic minds and leave Earth confused and vulnerable." The assassination attempt hardened public opinion on Earth. People who had been uneasy about the Titans now supported them completely. The galaxy had tried to murder one of humanity's heroes simply for defending her species. That was unforgivable. Captain Jang Minho used the failed assassination as fuel for his argument that humanity should strike first. "They're coming to destroy us anyway," he said in a heated command meeting. "Why wait for them to assemble their full fleet? We hit them now while they're still organizing." Captain Han Ji-woo disagreed strongly. "A preemptive strike makes us the aggressors. It proves Ixthar right that we're dangerous and uncontrollable. We lose the moral high ground. The moral high ground won't matter when we're dead," Jang Minho shot back. Admiral Park Minji listened to both arguments before making her decision. "We take defensive positions, move all 3 Titans into formation around Earth. We show the galaxy that we will not attack, but we absolutely will defend. Let Ixthar be the one who fires first." The 3 Titan-class vessels moved into a triangular formation around Earth, creating an impenetrable fortress. Warden took position over the Pacific Ocean. Aegis covered the Atlantic. Sentinel positioned itself above the Asian continent. Between them, their overlapping shields and weapon coverage made Earth the most defended location in the galaxy. The smaller human fleet spread out through the solar system, ready to provide support and harassment tactics against any invasion force. Captain Han Ji-woo commanded one of these squadrons, his ships equipped with the latest stealth technology and long-range missiles. As the Coalition fleet assembled, smaller species began making quiet contact with human diplomats. The messages came through back channels, carefully hidden from Coalition observers. A dozen civilizations asked the same question. If they refused to join the Coalition, would humanity protect them? Ambassador Shin Yuna brought these requests to Earth's government. "We have an opportunity here. These species are afraid of both the Coalition and us. If we offer them protection packs, genuine mutual defense treaties, we split the Coalition support. Can we actually protect them?" the defense minister asked. "We have 3 Titans. We can't be everywhere at once." "We don't need to be everywhere," Shin Yuna explained. "We just need to make potential aggressors afraid that we might show up. The threat of a Titan appearing is almost as good as having one actually present." General Nam Soo-jin developed the strategic framework. Humanity would sign protection pacts with any species that requested them. In exchange, those species would provide bases, resources, and intelligence. The network would make humanity stronger while weakening the Coalition. Within 3 weeks, 8 species had signed protection agreements with Earth. 4 more were in negotiation. Ixthar's Coalition began to fracture as member species reconsidered their position. But the core Coalition members remained committed. 7 species contributed their full military strength to the assembled fleet. 15,000 warships gathered at a staging area, just outside human space, their commanders planning the attack that would eliminate the Titan threat once and for all. Ixthar himself took command of the Coalition fleet. He was an imposing figure, leader of the Kethran species, known for their military discipline and strategic thinking. He believed absolutely in his cause. The Titans represented chaos and destruction, and they had to be eliminated for galactic peace to continue. He broadcast a message to Earth one final time before ordering the attack. People of Earth, you have created weapons that threaten the stability of the entire galaxy. We do not wish to destroy your civilization, but we cannot allow these planet weapons to exist. Surrender them peacefully and Earth will be spared. Refuse and we will take them by force. Admiral Park Minji responded from the command deck of Aegis. Her reply was broadcast across the galaxy, ensuring every species heard humanity's position clearly. Ambassador Ixthar, we will not surrender our defensive capabilities to any foreign power. The Titans exist to protect humanity from those who would harm us, nothing more. If you attack Earth, you will be the aggressors and you will face the consequences. We do not wish war, but we will not accept slavery. Choose wisely. Ixthar's response was to order his fleet forward. 15,000 warships entered human space, weapons charged and ready. They moved in perfect formation toward Earth, confident in their overwhelming numbers. The Coalition fleet advanced through human space like a metallic tide, 15,000 warships moving in coordinated groups. Their formation was impressive, the result of months of planning by the finest military minds from 7 different species. They expected resistance. They expected a fight. They expected to lose ships in the battle. They did not expect what actually happened. Admiral Park Minji sat in the command chair on Aegis, watching the tactical displays with calm focus. The enemy fleet was still 6 hours away from Earth at current speed. She opened a channel that broadcast to every ship in the Coalition fleet and to every communications network in the galaxy. People of the Coalition, this is Admiral Park Minji of the United Earth Defense Force. I'm speaking to you now not as an enemy, but as someone who understands your fear. The Titans are powerful weapons and power is frightening, but I want you to know that humanity did not build these vessels for conquest. We built them for survival. She paused, letting her words reach across the vast distances. Your leaders tell you that the Titans threaten galactic peace. I tell you that the greatest threat to peace is leaving smaller species defenseless against aggressive empires. We will not fire the first shot today, but if you attack Earth, if you attack our people and our homes, we will defend ourselves with everything we have. Every life lost in this battle will be on Ixthar's conscience, not ours. Choose wisely. On the Coalition flagship, Ambassador Ixthar listened to the broadcast with cold fury. She thinks words will stop us. She is wrong. All ships maintain formation and prepare for combat operations. But Park Minji's message was not really aimed at Ixthar. It was aimed at the thousands of captains and crew members in the Coalition fleet. People who had joined this mission believing they were preventing a threat, not starting a war of aggression. The Coalition fleet continued its advance. 4 hours from Earth, 3 hours, 2 hours. Captain Han Jiwoo positioned his squadron between the outer planets using Jupiter's gravity well to mask their signatures. His orders were clear. Do not engage unless Earth was directly attacked, but be ready to strike at command ships if the battle began. All ships maintain stealth protocols, he ordered quietly. Let them pass. We're not here to start the fight. On Earth itself, people gathered in public spaces watching the skies. Some prayed, some protested, calling for surrender to save lives. Most simply waited, trusting in the massive planets that hung overhead like guardian moons. 1 hour from Earth. The Coalition fleet began to deploy into attack formation, ships spreading out to surround the planet and its 3 Titan defenders. Weapon systems powered up, shield generators reached full capacity, targeting computers locked onto Aegis, Sentinel, and Warden. Ambassador Ixthar gave the order that would change everything. All ships open fire. Disable those weapons. 15,000 warships unleashed their arsenals at once. The combined firepower was beyond description. Enough energy to crack a planet's crust, enough missiles to blot out a sun. Every weapon designed by 7 advanced civilizations, all focused on 3 targets. The shields of the 3 Titans absorbed it all. Not easily, not without strain, but they held. The air inside Aegis shimmered with heat as the shield generators worked at maximum capacity. Alarms sounded on Sentinel as several shield sections approached overload. Warden's shields actually flickered for a moment before the backup systems engaged, but they held. Commander Choi, Sun-hee watched her tactical board light up with damage reports that never quite reached critical levels. Shields holding at 72% capacity. All sections stable. No penetrations. Admiral Park Min-ji allowed herself a small smile. Baek Jin-ho's upgrades had worked perfectly. The rotating shield harmonics made it impossible for the coalition to concentrate fire effectively. Return fire, she ordered. Targeting parameters as discussed. Disable, do not destroy. The Titans had been designed with a special weapon system for exactly this scenario. Dr. Kim Hyun called them gravitational disruptors, though the crews simply called them the stun guns. They projected focused gravity waves that could shut down a ship's power systems without destroying the vessel or killing the crew. Aegis fired first, its disruptor beams sweeping across the coalition formation like searchlights. Where they touched, ships went dark and dead in space. Not destroyed. Not damaged, just completely and totally disabled, their crews alive but helpless. Sentinel and Warden added their own disruptor beams to the mix. Hundreds of coalition ships lost power every minute, drifting helplessly as their backup systems failed to reboot under the gravitational interference. This is impossible, Ixthar's tactical officer reported. They're not even using their main weapons. They're just turning our ships off. Ixthar refused to accept defeat. All ships concentrate fire on a single point. We'll burn through their shields eventually. The coalition fleet tried to focus their attacks, but Admiral Park Min-ji had anticipated that tactic. She ordered Sentinel to perform a micro-jump, using its faster-than-light drive for just a fraction of a second. The Titan disappeared from in front of the coalition fleet and reappeared behind them, perfectly positioned. The psychological impact was devastating. Coalition captains who had been firing forward suddenly had a planet-sized warship at their backs. Panic spread through their ranks. Ships broke formation, trying to reposition. The careful coordination that had defined their attack dissolved into chaos. All batteries, rapid fire protocol. Captain Jang Min-ho ordered from Sentinel. The Titan's disruptor beams swept through the coalition's rear formation, disabling hundreds more ships in minutes. Captain Han Ji-woo saw his opportunity and took it. His squadron dropped stealth and accelerated toward the coalition command ships, their missiles armed and ready. Not to kill, but to disable communications and coordination systems. Target their command network, Han Ji-woo ordered. Sever their ability to coordinate. Make them deaf and blind. His squadron's missiles were precise and devastating. Coalition command ships lost their communications arrays, their sensor systems, their ability to give orders or receive them. The fleet became a mob of individual ships with no central authority. 3 hours after the battle began, it was effectively over. The entire coalition fleet drifted in space, disabled and helpless. Not a single ship destroyed, not a single crew member killed by human weapons. Just 15,000 vessels rendered completely inoperable, their crews alive but defeated. Admiral Park Min-ji broadcast to the disabled fleet. Coalition forces, Earth is releasing your ships. We will not destroy you. We will not capture you. Your power systems will reboot in approximately 1 hour, and you will be free to return to your home systems. Remember this day. Remember that humanity could have destroyed you but chose mercy instead. She closed the channel and turned to her crew. Stand down combat operations. Begin damage assessment and shield restoration. On the coalition flagship, Ambassador Ixthar sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display that showed his entire fleet disabled. He had brought 15,000 ships against 3, absolutely certain of victory, and had been defeated without humanity even using their most powerful weapons. The humiliation was absolute. Back on Earth, people erupted in celebration. The impossible had happened. Humanity had faced the largest fleet in galactic history, and won without firing a single lethal shot. The Titans had proven themselves not as weapons of destruction, but as tools of pure defensive dominance. Ambassador Shin Yuna wasted no time capitalizing on the victory. She immediately called for a new session of the Galactic Council, her message simple and direct. The coalition attempted to force Earth into disarmament through military action and failed. We have demonstrated that the Titans cannot be defeated through conventional warfare. Now we offer a better solution. Earth will share Titan defensive technology with any species that signs a mutual defense pact with humanity. The proposal sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Species that had been fence-sitting suddenly saw opportunity instead of threat. The Titans could protect them from aggressive neighbors. The technology could make their own world safe from invasion. Within 2 weeks, 23 species had signed defense pacts with Earth. Within a month, that number grew to 41. The Galactic Council fractured as the elder species who had dominated for millennia suddenly found themselves sidelined by a new power structure centered around humanity. Counselor Thren, ancient and wise, met privately with Ambassador Shin Yuna in a neutral location. The old alien looked tired, his tentacles moving slowly. "You have reshaped the galaxy in less than a year," he said quietly. "My species has been on the council for 10,000 years, and we failed to see what you were becoming. We grew complacent. We thought ourselves superior. We were wrong." Shin Yuna nodded respectfully. The elder species made the galaxy relatively stable for a long time. But stability became stagnation. You forgot that smaller species still faced threats, still needed protection. "We're offering what you stopped providing. And making yourselves the new power in the process," Thren observed. "Would you prefer we use the Titans for conquest?" Shin Yuna asked. "We could have destroyed the Coalition fleet. We could demand tribute from species that want our protection.